Fresh details have emerged in the deadly crash between the USS Fitzgerald and the ACX Crystal cargo ship, as Rear Admiral Brian Fort names the U.S. Navy's lead investigator into the June 17 collision. A defense official has confirmed earlier reports that there are indications that the Philippines-flagged cargo ship was on autopilot when the collision occurred, CNN reports. The same official says that 5 of the 7 sailors who were killed in the incident were incapacitated nearly instantly as the boat, the Crystal, collapsed the berthing area where they were sleeping. The official said that the other 2 sailors killed may have been trying to rescue their crewmates, but at some point the ship somehow lost communication with them and they perished. All 7 sailors were found dead in the flooded area of the ship. The official said it may never be known whether the order to seal the hatch to the flooded compartment came while the 2 sailors were still alive. The official added that the collision impacted near a communications node on the Fitzgerald, and that the crew had to resort to using satellite phones to communicate both on board and back to shore, potentially explaining the apparent 1-hour delay between the collision and the first report to the Japanese Coast Guard. Meanwhile, Japanese investigators said Thursday that they had recovered a data recorder from the ACX Crystal, which is owned by a Japanese firm and is currently docked in Yokohama near Tokyo. Investigators are examining the ship's movements, including its location, direction, speed and other data, to determine the cause of its collision with the USS Fitzgerald early Saturday off Izu Peninsula, west of Tokyo. By analyzing the data, we should be able to determine the circumstances of how it crashed, Transport Safety Board spokesman Katsunori Takahashi said. The safety board is focusing on the cause of the collision and the lessons to be learned, while Japan's Coast Guard is investigating possible professional negligence in the accident. U.S. Navy and Coast Guard officials are investigating the destroyer at its home port, Yokosuka Naval Base. Japanese Coast Guard official Takeshi Akawa said the first distress call came from the container ship at 2:25 a.m., and it identified the other party as a U.S. warship. The Coast Guard immediately contacted the destroyer to ask about its damage. The Japanese Coast Guard has revised its estimate of the collision time from an initial 2:20 a.m. to 1:30 a.m., after interviewing the Crystal's crew members and examining the ship's location. The U.S. Navy still uses 2:20 a.m. as the time of the collision, but U.S. military officials say they have no intention to dispute the Japanese Coast Guard and that the investigation will settle the issue. There is speculation that the Fitzgerald might have been temporarily unable to communicate because of damage from the collision or because its crew was working frantically to keep the ship from sinking. It is unconscionable to think a 30,000-ton vessel collided with and could have utterly destroyed another vessel and waited an hour to call the Japanese Coast Guard and report the collision. So far there is nothing to indicate how 2 well-equipped vessels could not avoid one another. Scott Cheney Peters, division officer aboard the Fitzgerald 2006 to 2008, suggested the accident was down to human error. There's a lot that can go wrong, even when the bridge team 1 or both ships is doing everything it can to avoid a collision. It's too early to speculate on the exact circumstances in this case, so this is only to help understand the context, he told Mail Online. The U.S. Navy and the Japanese authorities and NIC have declined to comment on aspects of the ongoing investigation, nor has an explanation been offered as to why USS Fitzgerald did not see the ACX Crystal coming and vice versa. The Coast Guard declined to confirm if they were still questioning the Philippine crew and captain in Yokohama, where the Crystal is now berthed.